So just pull back for thou a little bit like you do on your podcast. Let's talk about man management, for example. Gary, we've all heard stories of how Harry Redknapp used to manage Paul Merson, and Sir Alex in how he used to manage Eric Cantona. Have you found yourself having to work with a special type of character, should we say, that needed a bespoke style of management?
I've worked with a lot of special types of characters. Yeah, if you're alluding to either awkward players or different players, but that's what it's about, isn't it? Because I think the game's changing slightly, in as much as the role of a manager is different. I think it is different. I think you're now sort of reverting back to how I started when I first started coaching, which was coach the players. Coach the players tactically, technically, try and improve them. But I think it's very difficult to improve a player if you don't understand a little bit about them as a person, if you don't understand a little bit of their psyche, what motivates them, why do they play football? For me, these are all the little ingredients that make a personality and a character. And it's not just about going out there and saying, when you're in this little position now, how can we create triangles in possession to try to overload the opposite? It's not just about that. It's about, trying to understand how they feel and building the relationship as well. I think the game's changed to a point where, if you can coach the game, if you can coach different systems and you understand how that methodology works, you also have to understand the characters to know how to impart that on a group and also how to impart that on an individual. So I think man management's key. When I first started out as a coach, I spoke about not wanting to just be an ex-player who was a coach and get by. I read a lot on team dynamics. I read a lot on psychology. I read what makes people tick. I tried to understand that. And because for me, I don't care what business you're in, it's about people, isn't it? It's about people, yeah. And it's about how you treat those people and how you deal with people and how you create that dynamic as a team, So it's fascinating. I think it's one of the things I'm most fascinated about. It's one of the things I love as a head coach or manager, is building relationships with players and trying to understand what makes them tick. And listening to some of those old stories, I think are absolute dynamite, aren't they? Literally, dynamite. I mean, I've got so many stories from being a young manager, having to deal with different situations and different scenarios that you wouldn't dream you would have to deal with. Do you know what I mean? It's just incredible, but you learn on the fly and you learn in the job, and I think it makes you better for it.
Yeah. As a person, have you had to learn to become good at forgiving very quickly? I mean, if someone really gives you the ump, but for the benefit of a team, have you been able to sort of like look past that and get back in the team again?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you can have personal disagreements with players. You can have players that you perhaps like better than others. But I think you still have to treat players the same, and you have to have that understanding. I mean, I had one player once who, I won't name the player, but actually came to see, I think we were playing in like the Johnson's Paint Trophy or whatever it was at the time or something. And he came to see me in the morning of a game. And imagine this as a manager where you're trying to create a team that wins games, that winning mentality. And he said, look, Gaffer, I'm not sure if I'm playing in the game, tomorrow night or whatever it was, but I bought my missus tickets to see Jay-Z live in concert. And I've got like a limo picking us up and everything. So, if I can not play that'd be great. And I'm sat there thinking, is this player serious? Is this a wind-up? And he was being deadly serious. He obviously didn't see that game as important and didn't want to play it. And I thought, how do I deal with this as a manager? Rather than just, grab him by the scruff of the neck and boot him out my office, which was exactly what you wanted to do. I won't tell you what I did. I mean, one of the other players actually bought the tickets off him for half price because I made him play in the game. The game was actually cancelled. The game was actually cancelled last minute, so he had the last laugh, and the other player was devastated because he had to give him his money back. He didn't get to go. So it's little moments like this. It's little scenarios like this, and I could mention multiple stories like this that you have to deal with. And that player still would offer something from the team. Yet it would be very easy to go, he's never playing for me again because that's not what I want from a player. So, you know, you have to find these different moments to deal with different situations because, you know, these come up all the time. People don't realize a lot of these scenarios in the modern game come up an awful lot. And you have to be a little bit of a diplomat sometimes, as well as managing the team and creating the right dynamic.